So, as we discussed earlier, there are many things and many techniques that we can use to work on our own pronunciation, our own English pronunciation. And honestly, I was quite impressed, and I am really happy that you already know a lot of techniques and you are using it to work on your speaking abilities. Congratulations for this. However, now I will try to share with you my own experience. My own experience that there are certain tips that I was following during my learning so I can work on my pronunciation. And at the end of this part of the course, I will try, or we will try collectively to maybe combine the techniques that I use, okay, with what you already know and what the techniques that already inside your heads. So eventually we will try to define our own method and the method that we will use and we will adopt to work on our pronunciation. Anyway, let's start with the first technique, and I think that many students, many of you already told me about it. It's Can you remind us, Iman? It's learning from movies, TV shows, and so on. That's really good. And as I said, learning from maybe some different shows like or different programs like TED Talks or so on make us hear how English native speakers pronunciate certain words, and that helps us to detect the errors in the way we pronunciate it. Sometimes maybe I watch a movie or a TV show, and by the end I start thinking how stupid I was looking when I was maybe pronouncing some words incorrectly. And that leads us to the second technique or second tip. It's listening to ourselves so we can compare with how we pronounce the word with how an expert or a native English speaker pronunciate it. So let me ask a silly question. How can we listen to ourselves? Any answers? Ahmed? Yes, good. Maybe we can use our smartphone to record ourselves, and that's how we can detect the mistakes that we make in our pronunciation. So there are a third technique that I also use maybe when we speak English, when we produce language. It's we use certain muscles in our face, and to pronunciate correctly we need to work out and to make these muscles stronger. And for this we have to use a very special technique that I'm still using until now. This is one of my favorite techniques, and what we call the pen technique. You can simply just put this in your mouth like this, and then you will try to read maybe a text or something, and you will try to pronunciate the words correctly. You will try really hard, and when you take off the pen you will be surprised with how your pronunciation has improved. I think this is a really good technique, and I really advise you to use it. And now let's move to the final technique or the final method that I use. It's about tongue twisters, and as you can find that on our WhatsApp group. I already shared with you a poem that I found online, and I think it's really beautiful how this poem has really helped me to improve my speaking abilities. And maybe we can also search online for some tongue twisters. Yes, maybe I will tell you some ones, okay? Stay with me. If you tape on Google just tongue twisters, maybe you will find a lot of example. The first one that I really like is which way switch the Swiss race watches. This is a really hard one. The second one is she sells seashells in the seashore. And the final one is black background, brown background. This make us to pay attention to the difference between some similar words, or similar words that starts with similar or spells the same, or even, sorry, for words that sound the same but it doesn't spell the same. Now let's do just a quick recap. So can you remind me of the four techniques that we discussed now? The first one is Hassan, what do you say? It's copy the experts. Right. The second one is Asma, what do you say? It's listen to yourself. That's the second one. The third one is what we call right, the pin technique. And the last one is to find or to search for tongue twisters, maybe some texts with hard words, maybe that we can use to improve our abilities to pronunciate the words correctly. Really good. Now let's move on to the next part of our course.